So hello everyone, I'm Christian Lundblad. I am the Director of Research at the Kenan Institute for Private Enterprise and a finance professor at the Kenan-Flagler Business School at the University of North Carolina. And I wanted to talk a little bit today about research. So the Kenan-Flagler Business School is well known for high quality business instruction, as it pertains to our undergraduates, our MBA students, our doctoral students. Yet, what I think is less understood is the link between the thought leadership that drives our educational success and the cutting edge yet pragmatic research that our world-class faculty undertake. So as we celebrate University Research Week on the UNC campus, I thought it would be appropriate for us to take a few moments to address that side of our business in a business school. So here's the way faculty view it. Our international reputation is inextricably tied to the quality, the relevance, the creativity of our collective research agendas. And it's more than sort of abstract navel-gazing. It's more than imagining, how many angels can sit on the head of a pin. It's more than punching away at data and code that did not appear to be particularly proximate to the problems and questions that real business leaders, policymakers, and other market participants are struggling. In fact, I would define it as following. Impactful research, it's objective, often data-driven. It's an investigation into relevant issues or challenges so that facts can be established and conclusions drawn. And using the scientific method, research is an endeavor as closely as possible to uncover the truth with investigation or experimentation. Now, researchers, to be perfectly frank, do sometimes engage in these ivory tower-like navel-gazing endeavors. That's true. And more distressing, perhaps, there have been some well-publicized instances where the investigative process itself has been riddled with conflicts of interest and financial concerns. That's not what I want to talk about today, because I don't think that characterizes the bulk of what it is we're discussing. The end goals of what I would call a real researcher, they're loftier, they're purer. They involve asking and answering relevant questions that characterize the frontier of our understanding and then help us to pierce that frontier. It's about building a capacity to appreciate the trade-offs with established best practices, or then even helping us move forward in building novel and better best practices from that perspective. It's about engaging with other constituencies beyond just the academy, beyond just our students, in fact. So industry, policymakers, nonprofits, NGOs. At the end of the day, it's about developing a level of expertise that facilitates defining, dissecting, and then hopefully solving the potentially vexing business challenges and policy and social concerns that we all share. And so at the Kenan Institute for Private Enterprise, which is our think tank, affiliated with the Kenan-Flagler Business School, for which I serve as the Director of Research, we do this in an unbiased, disinterested manner along two dimensions, amongst others. One is to help to create resources to accelerate objective and high-quality academic research. Secondly, it's about translating the high-quality, rigorous, and pragmatic research produced by KFBS faculty for other constituencies, such as industry and policymakers and beyond. And we've long tackled questions like how best to allocate the scarce resources of a firm or a government to meet certain objectives, or to think carefully from a policy perspective about trade-offs, the intended and unintended consequences of any policy effort. And currently, we're engaged in a multitude of what I would argue are quite interesting and novel efforts. So let me articulate a few of them. So one is an understanding for the growing opportunities and trade-offs associated with technology in firms, marketing, or operational or financial decision-making process. An examination of the role of the significant demographic changes or social responsibilities that business and policymakers are increasingly responsible for tackling. An assessment of the extent where the opioid crisis is affecting how firms interact significantly with a highly impacted labor market. I mean, these problems and many, many others that we're tackling, they're real and they're hard. And it's experts, serious researchers who have devoted their professional lives to understanding them. They're vital. So indulge me for a moment, if you will, as I lament the current state of our political dialogue, particularly as it pertains to experts. So with all of the political tumult that we've observed over the last several years, we have witnessed a fast developing political movement, as it were, that appears to be in the business of dismissing experts' potential contributions to important debates. The Brexit referendum would be an example. It was preceded, the referendum itself, by several high-profile Leave proponents that were caustically dismissing the contribution of established experts. Here in the United States, we have certain, and I would say rather popular, members of both parties who have played unusually fast and loose with established facts, even so for politicians. And I would say actually regrettably, our appetite for policy wonkishness is waning. Now, experts don't have to be right. They're humans like everyone else. But what we have to appreciate is the care with which they approach a problem and the objective nature with which conclusions are drawn. And that must not be taken as equivalent to political hackery. And unfortunately, I would argue that this development, it comes at a particularly bad time. I mean, we have major fish to fry. So the global economy, for example, appears to be secularly slowing. That's medium and long run. That's challenging. And it's particularly challenging because what little growth we can squeeze has to be more inclusive in the face of rising inequality. And the absence of that, a failure to get that right, is only going to further inflame the frustrations that are informing what you're seeing in the political arena already. Global trade, fiscal and monetary policies, they're increasingly unorthodox. And we need to understand what are their consequences and whether there is an appetite or an appropriate direction for a course correction. Here at home in the United States, I mean, by engaging in impossibly irresponsible fiscal behavior, the U.S. federal government is flirting with disaster. And worse yet, environmental degradation, climate change risk. I mean, these may be outright existential. Would we not want exactly those experts who have dedicated their lives to tackling hard problems in a serious manner, deeply involved in the potential solutions? I mean, experts' research, I would contend, may be the only avenue through which we can circumvent some of the direst consequences of these tough challenges that our global society is facing at present.